Let's be brutally honest. The idea you have of a twin flame, this perfect celestial other half designed to complete you, is one of the most dangerous, self-destructive fantasies you have ever been sold. And the scenario that brought you here, the exquisite torture of finding this person only to discover they belong to someone else, is not the universe playing a cruel joke. It is the final, desperate gambit of your own soul, trying to shatter the illusion before it costs you your entire life. This pain, this obsession, this feeling of cosmic injustice, it is not a sign that you must wait, fight, or hope for their marriage to end. It is the sound of an alarm. It is the operating table on which your true, individual self is about to be born, screaming and fighting, out of the ashes of a beautiful lie. What happens if your twin flame is married to someone else? The pop spirituality gurus will tell you to hold on, to send them love and light, to trust the divine timing. They will sell you a fantasy of a dramatic reunion, a storybook ending where love conquers all. I am here to tell you that this is psychological poison. Through the unflinching lens of Carl Jung's depth psychology, we are not going to talk about waiting for someone. We are going to talk about why this person has appeared in your life not as a romantic partner, but as a psychological trigger of terrifying and magnificent power. This isn't about them. It was never about them. This is about the most important journey you will ever take, the journey from seeing a God in another person to discovering the God within yourself. This is the process of individuation. And the fact that your supposed other half is unavailable is the single greatest gift you could have been given, because it slams the door on the easy way out and forces you, finally, to do the real work. So, if you are ready to stop being a passive victim in a cosmic romance and start being the active architect of your own soul, then let's begin. Let's dissect what is truly happening when the person you believe completes you is committed to another. First, we must understand the nature of the fire you are standing in. This agonizing connection, this constant pull, this feeling of being alive and in torment all at once, this is not simply love or infatuation. In the language of alchemy, which Jung saw as a perfect metaphor for psychological transformation, this is the prima materia. It is the raw, chaotic, leaden state of your own psyche, projected onto another person. The situation, their marriage, their unavailability is the alchemical vessel, the crucible. And the heat, the unbearable, relentless heat of your longing and pain, is the fire necessary to begin the transformation. You think the goal is to get the person. The goal is to survive the fire and see what is forged in it. Most people run from this fire. They try to extinguish it with distractions, with anger, with blame, with new relationships. Or even worse, they sit by the crucible, passively waiting for the heat to die down, hoping the other person will one day walk out of the fire and into their arms. They wait for years, decades sometimes, their own lives turning to ash, their potential withering, their soul's purpose forgotten. They mistake the alchemical process for a waiting game. The brutal truth is this: the purpose of this fire is not to unite you with them. The purpose of this fire is to burn away everything in you that is not authentically you. It's designed to incinerate your codependency, your need for external validation, your belief that another person holds the key to your happiness, and your childish fantasy of a perfect, effortless love. The married twin flame is the ultimate catalyst for this burning because they represent a desire that, in the present reality, cannot and should not be fulfilled. The impossibility is the point. It creates a tension so profound that the psyche has only two choices: shatter into a million pieces of obsession and despair, or evolve into something stronger, more integrated, and more whole than it ever was before. This is the alchemical fire. It feels like destruction, but it is the prerequisite for creation. It feels like an ending, but it is the violent beginning of your own individuation. Your first task is not to figure out how to get them. Your first task is to stand in the fire, to feel the heat, and to ask not why is this happening to me, but what is this trying to forge within me? This shift in perspective is the first step out of the victim's pit and onto the path of the spiritual warrior. The pain is a sacred instrument. Stop trying to silence it. Start listening to what it's trying to tell you. Now we arrive at the core of the illusion, the psychological mechanism that powers this entire dynamic. We must talk about the ultimate projection. Carl Jung gave us the concepts of the anima and animus. The anima is the unconscious feminine aspect within a man's psyche. The animus is the unconscious masculine aspect within a woman's psyche. These are not about gender roles, they are archetypes of inner energy. For a woman, the animus represents her inner logos, her capacity for assertiveness, courage, logic, and decisive action. For a man, the anima is his inner eros, his capacity for relatedness, intuition, creativity, and emotional depth. For most of our lives, these inner figures are dormant, undeveloped. We are not whole. So what does the unconscious do? It projects. It takes this undeveloped part of ourselves, this ghost within our own soul, and it projects it outward onto a person in the external world. Suddenly you meet someone and it's electric. They seem to understand you like no one else. They possess the exact qualities you lack. They feel like your other half because in a psychological sense they are. They are wearing the mask of your own missing part. This is what the twin flame connection truly is. It is the most powerful, most convincing, most total projection of the anima or animus you will ever experience. You are not falling in love with a person. You are falling in love with a lost part of your own soul, dressed up in the flesh and blood of someone else. Let me tell you a story. Consider a woman named Claire. Claire is a creative, empathetic, and deeply intuitive person, but she struggles with asserting herself. She avoids conflict, she has trouble making firm decisions, and she has a brilliant business idea she's been too afraid to launch for 5 years. She feels a fundamental lack of courage and direction. Then she meets Marcus at a conference. He's a charismatic, decisive leader, married with a family. The connection is instantaneous and overwhelming. He sees her creative genius, she sees his strength and conviction. In his presence, she feels brave, she feels whole. She calls him her twin flame. What is happening here? Claire has projected her undeveloped animus, her own inner warrior, her own king, her own capacity for logic and action onto Marcus. He isn't just a man she's attracted to, he has become the living symbol of everything she feels she lacks. The obsession begins. She checks his social media, she imagines a life with him, she analyzes every brief interaction for a sign that he feels it too. Her own life, her own business idea grinds to a halt. All her energy, all her focus, is now directed outward at him. Now here is the genius of the universe, the brutal mercy of the psyche. Marcus is married, he is unavailable. This is not a cosmic mistake, it is a psychological fail-safe. If Marcus were single, Claire would likely enter into a relationship with him and continue to outsource her own animus. She would rely on him to be the brave one, the decisive one. She would never be forced to develop those qualities in herself. The projection would become a comfortable, codependent reality, and her own individuation would stall indefinitely. But his unavailability creates an impossible situation. She cannot have him. The screen for her projection is bolted to a wall she cannot move. For months, maybe years, she suffered. She feels the agony of this impossible longing. This is the crucible. The pain becomes so great that she is finally forced to ask a new question. Instead of how can I get him, She begins to ask, what is it about him that I need so desperately? What is this strength, this courage? Where is that in me? This is the moment of breakthrough. This is the beginning of the withdrawal of the projection. Claire realizes she doesn't need Marcus. She needs the Marcus within herself. She needs to activate her own animus. So she stops waiting. She uses the pain as fuel. She starts making small, assertive decisions. She finally writes the business plan. She pitches it, her voice shaking but firm. She learns to handle conflict. She becomes the person she was projecting onto him. And one day, she thinks of Marcus and feels not a painful longing but a quiet gratitude. He was the mirror. He was the catalyst that showed her a reflection of her own forgotten potential. The obsession is gone because you cannot be obsessed with something you already possess. She didn't get her twin flame. She became her own whole flame. She achieved the inner union. This is the true purpose of the married twin flame. They are a mirror held up to you, showing you the magnificent parts of your own soul you have yet to claim. Their unavailability is the very thing that forces you to stop staring at the mirror and start becoming the reflection. This journey of withdrawing the projection inevitably leads you into the darkest and most necessary territory of the soul, the confrontation with the shadow. The shadow, in Jungian terms, is everything within ourselves that we have repressed, denied, and refused to acknowledge. It is our greed, our jealousy, our rage, our potential for cruelty, our arrogance, our victimhood. It is the cellar of our psyche where we throw everything we deem ugly, unacceptable, and not me. The twin flame connection, especially one blocked by marriage, is a master key that unlocks the cellar door and lets the creatures out. You believe this connection is pure, sacred, and spiritual. You tell yourself a story of cosmic love, of a bond that transcends earthly commitments. But look deeper. Look at the brutal truth of what this situation is dredging up from your own shadow. Look at the possessiveness, the feeling that this person belongs to you despite all evidence to the contrary. This isn't divine love, it's the shadow of ego, the infantile desire to own what it wants. Look at the jealousy, a corrosive acid that eats away at your peace, directed not just at their spouse but at their entire life, a life you are not a part of. You call it pain, but you must call it by its true name, envy. And then there is the most insidious shadow of all, the righteous homewrecker. You may not act on it, but the fantasy is there. The secret hope that their marriage fails. You tell yourself it's because your connection is more real, more divinely ordained. This is the shadow of self-importance, a spiritual arrogance that justifies the potential destruction of another person's reality, another family's stability. You frame their spouse as the obstacle, the villain, the karmic partner they need to learn from before they can come to you. You see yourself as the savior, the grand prize at the end of their difficult journey. This is a dangerous, self-serving narrative that conveniently ignores the chaos and pain such a fantasy, if realized, would cause. It paints your shadow desire in the holy colors of destiny. Let's return to Claire. As she obsessed over Marcus, her shadow was having a feast. She saw herself as a romantic heroine in a tragic story, but her shadow self was a different character. Her shadow self delighted in finding flaws in Marcus's wife from the few pictures she could find online. Her shadow self felt a thrill of victory at every casual complaint Marcus made about his life, twisting it into a sign that his marriage was doomed. She felt a sense of moral superiority, believing her spiritual connection with him was more valid than his legal and emotional commitment to his family. This was her shadow in its full regalia, and she was completely blind to it. The pain she was feeling wasn't just the pain of his absence. It was the psychic dissonance of holding a sacred view of the connection while simultaneously swimming in the murky waters of her own repressed darkness. The awakening happens when you stop blaming the situation and start taking responsibility for the contents of your own psyche. The confrontation with the shadow is the trial by fire. It requires brutal, unflinching self-honesty. You must be willing to look at the ugliest parts of yourself that this situation has illuminated. You must be willing to admit, I am possessive, I am envious. Part of me is willing to see another's life dismantled for my own gain. I have been playing the victim to mask my own feelings of powerlessness. You cannot integrate what you do not acknowledge. You cannot heal what you refuse to see. The married twin flame is not just a mirror for your light, your anima or animus. They are a black mirror for your shadow. They show you everything you have hidden in the dark. The true spiritual work is not to get them to leave their partner. It is to face the darkness they have revealed within you, to own it, and to integrate it. Integrating the shadow doesn't mean acting on your possessiveness or destructive fantasies. It means acknowledging those impulses exist within you, understanding where they come from, and reclaiming the immense psychic energy that has been tied up in repressing them. When you own your shadow, it no longer owns you. Its power to drive you into obsession and misery dissolves. This is the heroic work. It is terrifying, it is humbling, and it is the only way to true psychological freedom. This leads us to a pivotal and perhaps the most painful truth of all. In this entire dynamic, there is a profound act of betrayal occurring. There is a deep and lasting adultery being committed, but it is not the adultery you think. The ultimate betrayal is not the twin flames' commitment to their spouse. The ultimate betrayal is your betrayal of your own life. The true adultery is cheating on your own soul. Every minute you spend waiting, you are betraying your own potential. Every hour you waste in fantasy, you are cheating on your own destiny. Every ounce of emotional and psychic energy you pour into the black hole of an unavailable person is energy stolen from your own growth, your own purpose, your own mission in this world. Imagine you are the captain of a magnificent ship built to explore uncharted oceans and discover new worlds. Your journey is your life's purpose. One day on the horizon, you spot another beautiful ship. You are captivated by it. You tell yourself this ship is your destination, but this other ship is on its own course, sailing towards its own harbor with its own captain and its own commitments. So what do? The path of obsession is to drop your own anchor in the middle of the ocean. You let your sails rot. You let your crew grow restless. You do nothing but stare at the other ship through a spyglass, tracking its every move, celebrating when it seems to turn towards you, despairing when it sails further away. Your own ship, your magnificent vessel of potential, rusts and decays in the salt water of your inaction. Years pass, your destination is forgotten, your maps crumble. You have committed the ultimate act of treason. You have abandoned your own voyage. This is what happens when you put your life on hold for a married twin flame. You are the captain who has abandoned their ship. The great tragedy is not that you can't have them. The great tragedy is that you have stopped having yourself. You have betrayed the sacred contract you made with your own soul to live fully, to create, to strive, to become. The world is starved for your gifts. There is a book you were meant to write, a business you were meant to build, a community you were meant to heal, a life you were meant to live with courage and passion. And all of that is being sacrificed on the altar of a romantic obsession. You are committing adultery against your own future. Let's be brutally clear, this is a form of self-harm. It is a slow, quiet suicide of the spirit. You tell yourself it is noble, a testament to the depth of your love. It is not. It is an abdication of your personal sovereignty. It is handing the keys to your life over to someone who has not asked for them and who is busy driving their own car. The only way to end this betrayal is through a radical act of recommitment. You must turn the spyglass away from their ship and look at your own. You must take stock of the decay. You must feel the shame and the grief of your own neglect, and then you must hoist the anchor. You must mend the sails. You must grab the helm, look at your own map, and start sailing again, even if you have forgotten how. You must recommit to your own voyage, your own purpose, with the fierce and desperate energy of someone who has been given a second chance. Your loyalty does not belong to them. It belongs to the God within you, the potential you are here to manifest. Stop cheating on your own soul. End the affair with fantasy. Come home to your own life. It is waiting for you. It has been waiting for all this time. So we have journeyed through the fire, we have faced the projection, we have confronted the shadow, and we have recognized the great betrayal of the self. What now? Where does this path lead? It leads to the final and most crucial stage of this entire process, the magnum opus of the psyche, individuation and the forging of the inner union. Individuation is Jung's term for the process of becoming a psychologically whole, complete, and distinct individual. It is the journey of integrating the conscious and the unconscious, of becoming the person you were always meant to be. The entire married twin flame scenario, in its excruciating perfection, is a forced induction into the path of individuation. It is a catalyst designed to push you toward the ultimate goal, which is not an outer union with another person, but an inner union within your own soul. This inner union is what the alchemists called the coniunctio or the hieros gamos, the sacred marriage. It is the marriage of the masculine and feminine principles within you. It is the integration of your ego with your shadow. It is the union of your conscious mind with the vast wisdom of the unconscious. It is becoming whole, self-sustaining, and sovereign within your own being. The brutal, beautiful truth is that the universe does not want you to have a twin flame. It wants you to become a twin flame unto yourself. It wants you to be so whole, so integrated, that you no longer need to project the missing parts of yourself onto anyone else. How is this done? This is not passive work. It requires conscious, disciplined, and courageous action. First is the final and complete withdrawal of the projection. This is a conscious act of emotional and psychic surgery. You must sit down and make a list. On one side, write down every quality you admire and are drawn to in your twin flame. Their courage, their stability, their creativity, their intellect, their humor, whatever it is, be exhaustive. Now on the other side, write the heading, the parts of myself I must now cultivate. You must understand that this list of their qualities is simply an inventory of your own dormant potential. Your work is to stop admiring it in them and start embodying it in yourself. If you admired their courage, you must start doing things that scare you. If you admired their stability, you must build that stability in your own finances, your own routines, your own emotional regulation. You must become your own hero. Second is the continued integration of the shadow. This is not a one-time event. It is a lifelong practice of radical self-honesty. Jung recommended a technique called active imagination. This involves a kind of conscious dialogue with the figures of your unconscious. You can do this through journaling, art, or a meditative practice. You consciously engage with the parts of you that this situation has brought to light. You talk to the victim within you. You talk to the possessive part. You don't judge them, you don't banish them. You ask them what they are afraid of. You ask them what they need. You listen. By doing this, you bring these repressed energies into the light of consciousness. You integrate their power instead of being controlled by their darkness. You are taking the splintered fragments of your psyche and making them whole again. Third, you must commit ferociously to your own individual purpose. The energy that you were pouring into the obsession, the checking of their social media, the fantasizing, the analyzing, is a torrent of high-grade psychic fuel. You must now consciously redirect that fuel. You must pour it into your work, your art, your health, your community. The obsession created a vacuum in your life. You must fill that vacuum with your own meaning, your own mission. This is what it means to choose your own voyage. When you are passionately engaged in your own becoming, the longing for another person to complete you begins to fade, not because you are suppressing it, but because you are genuinely too busy, too fulfilled, and too fascinated by your own journey. Let's finish Claire's story. After her breakthrough, she did this work. She took the list of Marcus's qualities and turned it into a roadmap for her own development. She used her journaling not to pine for him, but to have difficult conversations with her own shadow. She took all the energy she had spent thinking about him and poured it into her business. She launched it. It was difficult and terrifying, but it was hers. She became the decisive, courageous leader she had once only admired from afar. Months later, she ran into Marcus by chance. She felt a flicker of warmth, a recognition of the catalyst he had been. But the agonizing pull was gone. The obsession was gone. She looked at him and saw just a man who had played a crucial role in her life, but not the center of it. She didn't need him to be her hero anymore because she had become her own. She was polite, she was kind, and then she walked away, not with the pain of loss, but with the quiet, unshakable power of her own wholeness. She had achieved the sacred inner marriage. The alchemical work was, for this chapter, complete. This is the ultimate outcome. This is what happens when you correctly navigate the crucible of a married twin flame. You don't win them, you win yourself. And winning yourself is the only victory that truly matters. So we stand at the end of this journey, at the edge of your new beginning. Let's cast aside the illusions one final time. What happens if your twin flame is married to someone else? What happens is a choice. You can choose the path of passive suffering, of waiting, of obsession, of slowly betraying your own life for a fantasy. This is the path of psychological decay. It is the slow, agonizing death of the soul. Or you can choose the path of the alchemist, the path of the spiritual warrior. You can recognize this situation for what it is, not a romantic tragedy, but a profound and urgent summons to your own evolution. You can see their unavailability not as a curse, but as a grace that prevents you from the easy, codependent way out. You can understand that this person is not your other half. They are a mirror reflecting the unlived parts of your own being, both the light of your highest potential and the darkness of your unacknowledged shadow. The goal is not to possess the mirror, but to become the glorious, integrated being it reflects. The pain is a fire, and its purpose is not to destroy you, but to burn away everything that is false, everything that is weak, everything that is not you. The true work is to stand in that fire, to withdraw your projections, to confront your shadow, and to forge the sacred marriage within your own psyche. This is the journey of individuation. It is the hardest work you will ever do. It is lonely, it is brutal, and it requires a level of honesty that will bring you to your knees. But it is the only path to true freedom, true power, and true wholeness. Stop waiting for them. Stop cheating on your own destiny. The love story you have been searching for is not with them. It is the story of your own becoming. The grand romance is between you and your own soul. Now is the time to begin. The fire is hot. The work is waiting. Your real life is ready to be claimed. Go and live it.